This mini episode is dedicated to finding the gold linings in circumstances we've experienced that were less than fun. And yes, I said gold linings instead of silver linings because this episode involves gold shoes. And I just want to shout out my friends Brianna and Jen for inspiring this episode and for inspiring the gold shoes that I will be talking about in a minute. This is the Lenora Faye Show. Hello, I'm your host Lenora Faye, and welcome to this mini episode called Gold Shoes. Now, I am going to share some insights in these mini episodes that aren't a full story. They may be a bookend to a previous episode. In this case, this is a bookend to the broken ankle story. One of my friends, Brianna, shout out Brianna, who was listening to the episode, reminded me of some really positive aspects that have come out of breaking my ankle, which may sound a little bit weird, but that's the point of this episode, is to remind me and remind you that, once the dust has settled on some awkward or kind of awful circumstances we've experienced, there can be some silver linings, or gold linings in this case. And something that came out of my broken ankle experience, which I go into full detail in the previous episode, if you've not heard that, was I discovered gold shoes and the effects of wearing gold shoes, not just in my city and country, but when I travel. And it's become a way of connecting with people, including the grocery store clerk in my neighborhood that never gave me the time of day for 6 years. I kid you not, 6 years. Or maybe even longer, because I've been in this neighborhood for a while. Years and years, this man never, I don't know, he wasn't rude. He interacted with many other people, but me, I don't know, maybe he didn't get me. But anyway, one day I showed up wearing the gold high tops I bought in San Francisco, because I have a few different pairs of gold shoes, but gold high tops that have flashing LED lights. And was I wearing a wig at that point? I think I might have been wearing a blue wig. It's entirely possible. I can't remember. But I remember I was stopping into the grocery store. I had those shoes on and the lights were on. And man, that man reacted, and he was just, it was great. He acknowledged me. And then I told him, I said, yeah, I got these shoes in San Francisco, and he had been there with his wife. And so he was telling me the story, and I said, well, you may have remembered seeing this boutique. And I explained that I got these gold shoes at the boutique with the burlesque legs sticking out. It's on Haight Street, if any of you have been to San Francisco. So yeah, Haight-Ashbury, that area. So is it Haight Street? Yeah, it's Haight and Ashbury or something. And that's, anyway, I'm getting a bit ahead of myself, but maybe that's the whole story I have to tell. Is that because I broke my ankle and can no longer wear high heels and can't even walk on my toes, I had to figure out, I didn't even have time to figure out what I was going to do for proper footwear that lit my fire, because I'm a shoe girl through and through. And I need bling, and I need something. And the universe had sent me a spectacular friend named Jen, who sent me a link to a pair of amazing gold shoes that Skechers came out with in 2022. So this was the following year after me breaking my ankle. And I bought them because I was at a loss, trying to find a pair of running shoes that I would actually wear was proving to be impossible. And I wear dresses all the time. I don't wear pants. I don't own jeans. I wear leggings in the wintertime here on the Canadian prairies, but I'm always in a dress. So it had to be something that worked with dresses of all lengths, right? You know, you get the friends you need in life. So that was the beginning of the gold shoe journey. And since then, a few more pairs have come my way. Now, okay, so that's just the setup, because and this is, again, the finding the gold and silver and maybe platinum linings to the things that we experience. I'm going to use a travel story just to kind of wrap this up, because I do like connecting with people. I've come out of a phase where I'm kind of more inward, even though I've been very vocal online for a number of years for other things. And when I travel, and I don't travel very often, or I haven't up until this point, and it's usually been road trips in my country, and I keep to myself. I don't necessarily socialize because that's my downtime. So I decided to really put these gold shoes to the test when I got them by taking them with me, or that was my footwear going to San Francisco. And I took this trip to San Francisco for a week in 2022. And that is, one day will be a whole episode, because, or maybe a whole slew of episodes, because many things happened in that trip. And this started from the airport here in Calgary where I live. I had parked my vehicle and was taking the shuttle to the terminal, and the shuttle driver was helping me with my suitcases, and he starts commenting on my gold shoes, which were brand new. I think I worn them out maybe once when I was in Vancouver. So, but they were polished, they were great, and I swear, like, the entire world opened up to me. People were talking to me. I wasn't even on the plane yet, and then I get to San Francisco and check in, and first night, or like after I get into my suite and everything, and then I'm gonna go walk around, and this is my second time being in San Francisco, and I love that place to death. And the cable car stop was across the street from my hotel, so I was standing there on my phone trying to get the schedule, and suddenly I realized, like, someone's leaning out of their car yelling at me, and I look up, and this chick's like, "I love your shoes," and I'm like, "Thanks." And that was that's not the first time I've been in the US, but but from that moment on, I had so many people sticking their heads out the window that whole week I was in San Francisco, telling me how much they loved my shoes. And I mean, many other places. I had conversations with homeless people and tourists and local people, and it all stemmed from the gold shoes. It was awesome. And again, I keep to myself, especially when I'm not in Canada, because, you know, I'm very friendly, but I like to just, you know, walk around and observe, and I'm pretty quiet, which is not my normal state. But that changed and has since changed. Every place I've gone, because now it's been 2 years, I've been wearing gold shoes for 2 years now, and that's my footwear of choice. Wintertime, I don't have a pair of gold boots yet. I haven't been able to find those. But seriously, I went from feeling really insecure about being 5'3". I just felt I was meant to be taller, and I'm not. And I got over that pretty quickly when I realized I couldn't wear heels. But it was these gold shoes really changed how I interacted with people, regardless of where I'm going. And I can honestly say, as personable as I am and as friendly as I am, I have a great resting bitch face. Just because I'm by myself most of the time, so I'm, just aware and don't want to be overly friendly. But that whole gold shoe thing has seriously changed how how people interact with me. It's been a conversation starter every single day, whether it's the grocery store, the coffee shop, just me walking around, even in my neighborhood now. Because I will say, Canadian reactions and American reactions are very, very different. Americans are very bold on how they react to you. I will say, any gender. Canadians are a little more subdued, but I've had people stick their heads out of the cars here. Not nearly as many, but also because our population is only 10% of what American population is. So again, the point of this is, and this is just a mini story. The point is to me personally, so I had that accident. It changed my life in the sense of how, dealing with things when you break something and you end up with a permanent injury, there's that. But it changed how I dress in this sense of footwear. And that was a huge identity for me. I was known for my heels. Like, that was a big, big thing. So for me to go, okay, I can't wear heels anymore. What am I going to do? Because I can't just do basic footwear. That's just not me. And, having somebody that had the answer before I even knew I needed an answer, again, thanks, Jen. And I guess I'm realizing it's hard for me to articulate, or maybe this is the challenge for me to articulate what that has meant. So here's what I've learned in the last 2 years of just wearing gold shoes. And again, keep in mind, the only reason why I'm wearing gold shoes is because I had that accident of breaking my ankle. People want to feel happy. And sometimes most of the time when we interact with people, it's only for a few seconds to a minute, right? And a lot of times we're so busy, we're stressed, we're doing all these things. People are stressed, they're doing all these things. And it just feels like you're alone in the universe, and you may have your own bubble, but going out, going about your day, just the mundane routine of a day. It's hard to connect with people, especially when everyone's buried in their phones, right? And suddenly I was noticing like babies to elderly people commenting. And a lot of times it sparks a conversation, even a brief one. And I'm a conversationalist, so it's not unusual, but people approach me like in a nice way, right? I thought I was, fairly open, but I realized just going about, day-to-day interactions and stuff, like everybody else, we're all lost in our worlds. So and because I'm an entertainer at heart, I want to somehow make an impact or leave an impact on this world. I was telling my dad this. I said, the easiest thing that's ever been to reach people is by wearing something that has bling on it. And it's to the point where like even men comment, like they're looking at my feet, which is funny because if you've seen a photo of me, I have a sizable chest, so I'm usually used to that. But this is nice. Maybe that's why I like the gold shoes so much. I just realized that. It's like people are looking at my feet and not my boobs. Finally, it's only taken 41 years. Well, I got boobs when I was 9, so it hasn't been fully 41 years. That'd just be weird. Anyway, so there's a gold lining to the broken ankle that it might sound a little shallow, but it's not. Because it has changed how fast I can connect with people. And again, it might even just be for a few minutes or a few seconds. But it's just amazing when someone comments and I say thanks. And, sometimes, again, a dialogue might happen, sometimes not. But people's faces change and they look happy just for a moment. And I love that. So I am very grateful. It's hard to say that I'm grateful for breaking my ankle because I miss my old ankle. Like I miss that mobility and I miss wearing high heels. But I have to say, these like wearing sneakers, gold sneakers, that has created a more of an impact. This is some inner therapy work happening right now. I wore high heels I could accept myself at a different height wearing heels. I could accept myself more than me being in flat shoes back in the day. That was a hang up for me. And apparently I needed to get over that. And I'm not saying that's why I broke my ankle, but I'm saying that once that happened, I had no choice. And when I look back at it, the reason, like I wanted to get a certain reaction out of people, and heels, I thought that was the way to go. And it kind of did, but nowhere near. And here's the thing. When I started wearing gold shoes, it was not to get a reaction out of people. It was truly what I wanted to and still want to wear because one, they're comfortable. Second of all, they're incredibly comfortable, but they just bring me so much joy and I can wear them with everything. And in the long run, it's going to be better for my knees and anything later as I get older. So I wasn't even thinking about making an impact with people by my footwear. Not the way I was with heels. I wanted that attention with heels. I'm not knocking that. I'm an entertainer. Of course I want a reaction. I want attention sometimes or a lot of the time. And so the funny thing is no longer having that. And then these gold shoes show up and they just appear in my life. That's just become an amazing, simple tool to connect with people in a really cool way. So there you go, gold linings. You just don't know what is going to come out of kind of shitty experiences or really shitty experiences that we have. And again, you may not see it right away. Don't worry about that. But one day it'll show up and you'll look back and you go, well, you know what? I had to go through that. I hated it. But, insert whatever here. This showed up and I love that. And it probably wouldn't have happened if that didn't happen. So that's all for today's mini episode. Thank you for listening. Now, if you are enjoying the podcast, whether you are listening to this on YouTube, which I've just recently added, on Apple or Spotify, please leave a 5-star rating. Share with your friends or anyone you think might be interested in the potential zaniness that is going to come out of this show. That really helps support the podcast. I'm going to have some other things in the future, but feel free to interact. You can also find me on Instagram at @IamLenoraFaye, and I think that's the main way to interact with me at the moment, unless you find Lenora Faye on LinkedIn, which not everyone's on LinkedIn. But anyway, thank you so much for listening, and we will chat in the next episode.